Now that we've connected to the database successfully, let's start using some of the database functions. The first thing I'm going to do is set up a query. I'm going to create a variable to hold the query. It's just going to be a string. Let's just put a space in there to help us. So I'm going to call it query, a variable called query, and it's going to be this simple string. Select star from person. Notice I didn't capitalize the P. I don't have to capitalize the P. PHP, my admin, the table names are not case sensitive unless you specify it, I think. So that is my query. So where do I get my queries from if I need to sort of use them? When I'm testing my database, running sorts of queries, inserting things, you always get this box at the top saying what the query was that ran, or what, depending on the results you've got. So if I go back to SQL, type in the query that I want, I may have to log in again. Okay. So if I type select star from person and choose go, I seem to have a problem. I think it's logged me out at the moment, or I'm not actually on the table. There we go. So select star from person, and I get my records here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Joe, Jane, Arthur, Joe. I could click on here, create PHP code, which would give you code that you just need to copy and paste into your PHP. So that's really useful. There you go. Notice from this though that we didn't necessarily need the quote marks around the field names or the database names that we've got, or you can just type it in as I've just done. But as one handy thing to do is to actually run your database, find out what results you want, and then generate the PHP code which you can copy into your own program. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Query is select star from person, and then I'm going to run that query. Now in PHP my admin I had a little go button and it ran the query, but I can't just have a little go button here. I actually have to give it a command to make that work. So I've set my query up as a variable before I connect to the database. It doesn't really matter. I can set it up afterwards. I'm just trying to keep things neat with all the variables at the top and the programming code below. And if I get to this point, I know that I've connected successfully. We're going to take that out later. We don't actually need that. I'm going to keep it in for the time being just so I can see what's happening. And my next line is going to be the sort of go button, and it's going to work like this. You can use whatever variable you like. I like to use the word result because it's returning results. And this is the button, my SQL I, okay, query. So that is the button for go, and then we need to give it some parameters, and we're going to give it 2 parameters. The first parameter, it needs to know which database we're talking to. We could be talking to those. We could have different connections. Connection 1 goes to PHP my admin, connection 2 goes to MySQL, and so on. So we can have many different connections to different databases set up in here, and to actually run the query we need to know which particular connection we're talking to. So I've set up the connection there, and the second is, well, what is the query? There we go. I've just used this query. So it's saying on this database with these details, run this query, select star from person. And that's it. That's the way to run the query. So if I save that and run it, we're going to get 1 or 2 problems. I'll try and explain things to you in a second. It might be 2 or 3 videos down the line. If I run it now, reload this page, it's just going to say connected successfully. I'm not going to see any results. I didn't tell it to show any results. And in fact, if I do try to tell it, so if I choose echo result, it's not going to work, and the reason is because it's the incorrect data type. So I run it again. There you go, catchable fatal error. It's an object and it couldn't be converted to a string. So I've got some work to do with result to actually pull the string out of there and make it usable. And the next few videos are going to show you how to actually do that, and we're going to look at quite a few different kinds of data types and how to pull information out. So for now I'm going to delete that, leave it as it was, save the file, make sure I haven't changed anything drastically, run it, there we go. So in the next video we're going to work a little bit more on this result. One thing that we can figure out is, well, does it contain anything? But that's for the next video.